So here we are at Age Concern in Hackney, and we've come here today to meet Vincenzo Di Maria and Ida Anglarden, who are winners of an Action for Age project last year, and we're coming here to talk to them about how their project's developed in partnership with Age Concern Hackney.
Basically, according to the brief, there are a lot of socially isolated people, and especially in Hackney because it is actually the poorest borough in London. So we wanted to tackle the issue of socially isolated over 65-year-olds, and through our research we understood that there are a lot of services that are already being provided for them, only how the communication between the users, the potential users, and the services themselves were very poor and very complicated. So we thought we would design a system that would be able to go deep into the community, to those hard-to-reach people, and actually get them the information without being intrusive. So we designed this system where we would use the community itself as the messengers. So basically we would have a core team that would probably be in the Age Concern or an organization like Age Concern. And then we would have messengers who were from the community itself, who would carry the word of all these services to the people that do not have any access, do not have any social life, and hardly any ties to the outside world. That is it in a nutshell.
So tell us a bit about why you selected this project, the Action for Age brief. What was it that appealed to you about it?
Well, the year that we were applying, there were a range of projects that we could have chosen from, and when we were making our selection, we kind of found that this brief was the most challenging. And when we were doing our MA, we really wanted to use our design skills on a socially responsive project.
I think, yeah, the RSA briefs, not just the Action for Age one, but also all the others. I remember that year, actually, we took 3 projects, and we're like a group of students, came out of our MA in Industrial Design, finding it really hard because the recession just kicked in, so not much opportunity to develop work and stuff. But we decided to challenge ourselves and see where the market is going from product-led to service-led economy. Mm-hmm. And the RSA was really framing that very well in those briefs. So where to go? That's how we started.
Yeah. So here we are sitting in the offices of Age Concern in Hackney. Do you want to tell us a bit about your field work when you started the project, what it involved, and how you came to be here?
Mm-hmm. Basically, because of the nature of the project, it's very difficult to get to the users or the potential users without being intrusive, or how do you get to talk to these people? So we thought that the best way is to go to an organization who already has experience in that, because there's only so much you can do completely on your own.
Initially, I think the really first step was digesting the incredible amount of resources present already with the brief into the RSA website, because at some point it was also overwhelming. I mean, with the luck to be me, Ida, and Putai, who was the 3rd member of our team, and I will recommend people to apply in teams for this big project because it's just useful to have a debate about what was going on. But we had to digest the initial information and background resource and present to each other to deeply understand what's already out there. Yes. And then we did, okay, let's start doing some primary research or field research. And the feedback, initially, it was, I remember I sent a couple of emails to Age Concern, a couple of phone calls, and I think you need to really believe in it and carry on, because it's not going to happen at the first phone call, it's not going to happen after the first email, and it may happen after 2-3 visits, and building that trust. And because most of the organization, and I found actually Age Concern Hackney to be really open about innovation, because they've got a track record in innovation in the field, but most of the other third sector, public sector organizations are very resistant or concerned in the way they do things. So you will find a lot of resistance at the beginning to get in touch, to get through.
is the volunteering route the one that you'd recommend?
Well, I think if you want to learn about older people and learn from them and find out more about them and, you know, sort of break down some of the stereotypes, then definitely volunteering is the way to go. Or running some events, you know, if they wanted to talk to people, they could run workshops. People are always very willing to give their ideas, and, you know, we have a very diverse society here in Hackney. So, but, you know, everyone's always very... You know, if you throw in a bit of entertainment and and some refreshments, I think people are very willing to help.
The one resource we are rich in is older people. We've got lots of them. We don't have a lot of officer time, we don't have a lot of money, you know, but we've got lots of older people. So if we encounter researchers who want particular categories of older people and they can provide something for the clients, I mean, the clients get something out of it.
Yes, of course.
And sometimes we do, intellectually, that's fine. But I've never before had such an interactive collaboration.
And after your project was initially was selected as one of the finalists, and you came to the workshop we held at the RSA, and David, who's here with us, also came to that with a whole group of other stakeholders. We had lots of older people there, people from other charities and organisations. Did that help change how you eventually developed your project?
Definitely. I feel that the feedback that we got from the people, it's one thing telling what you've done up till now and then getting their reactions, and then it's one thing to listen to the little tips and little suggestions that they might give, which are really actually very full. You know, if you just kind of unpack what they said, you can really get a lot from what they said.
And I believe all the process, starting from the mentoring sessions within public and with people who got more experience in the field, and as well the workshop. I mean, we did change some aspects of our project, and the preparation stage to that stakeholder workshop, and as well the preparation to the final presentation, I think that was the most formative part for us. I mean, the workshop was a 2-3 hours event, but what it came before and what it came after, before the final pitch, that was incredible for us, because we had to develop that language and try our pitch again and again, and that gave life to the project, really.
Great. So you were selected eventually as one of the winners, which was great. And do you want to just tell us a bit more about how your relationship has developed with Age Concern Hackney and where that's moved on to?
Talking about the project itself, Age Concern Hackney got back to us because we were thanking them for all the collaboration, this informal collaboration we've been developing throughout the research and the project, developing of the project. And they were really excited about the opportunity of making, I mean, they were outlining and pointing the finger against towards some of the aspects of the project were still a bit on the assumption level and need to be tested and compared to the real world. But they were very supportive, and they also say that Hackney as a borough, as a council, could be interested in developing this kind of approach and program. Meanwhile, we're trying to develop and explore new way of developing that specific project. Some other opportunities came up. And we're able to use this initial contact with Age Concern Hackney, with Juliet, Alexandra, David, to transform the initial collaboration into a partnership and bid for funding or real-life projects. And that's probably the stage where we are at the moment. I mean, we've been collaborating on a project which was funding from Nesta, a program called Age Unlimited, was shifting the focus from isolation and social exclusion, which was the focus of the Action for Age, to pre-retirement and better planning for later life. So it's still within the realm of aging society, but looking at different strands. And as well, it was a very compelling, actually, idea generation process. We came up with a couple of ideas, we narrowed it down, we got selected among the 20 finalists, over 200
Entries.
Amazing achievement.
And they selected 11 finalists, which they're going to be funded project, and we are one of those, so we're glad to be one of those.
Excellent. I work with 50 to 65-year-olds, so that's the sort of younger, older people. And we've done some forward planning sessions and getting people to actually think about the future and what would happen, you know, if they have to go into care or they weren't well or they become carers. And people took to that very well, you know, even though we had funeral directors and people just talk about, you know, very sensitive subjects, people really seemed to take it on board and wanted more. So that, I think, formed the basis then for our forward thinking programme. And then over the months, and it's taken us a year we did the application form, we did workshops, so our idea's been honed down to what it is at the present, and that's where it came from.
We're now approaching the third stage of another application with Gulbenkian, which I've been working on with Vincenzo and Bruno and their colleagues, and we, because we haven't got a lot of wriggle room, generally speaking, in terms of being creative about it, or indeed finding officer time for fundraising work. So if somebody will come to us with a creative and constructive idea, and, you know, with enough energy and dynamism to go on tailoring it and developing it, so that it's not just, you know, in our lap and haven't really got time to do anything with it. I mean, that's tremendous, I think. That's tremendous. There should be a lot more of it, actually.
So, just finally, one of the things I'd like to ask you is, you know, we're thinking of running a similar project, well, we are running a similar project in the coming year. What one piece of advice would you give to students thinking of doing a project?
I would definitely underline what Vincenzo just said about the first phone call not being enough, and you need to really form a contact bond with whoever you want to work with and whoever would potentially be very useful for the project, and really keep at it and don't get discouraged. That's my first. That's the most important thing.
Yeah. How about you, Vincenzo? What would you say?
I think the people you will meet throughout the research, whether they are direct users, whether they are the experts, because come on, if you are a student, design student, you may not be an expert in aging, so you need to learn a lot, and you need to learn different languages. You need to learn the language of the user, you need to learn the language of the expert, and maybe you may need to learn the language of the policymakers, because it's a brief that is quite difficult to answer with a simple product. You know, it may need a bit more than a product. It may be a system of things, maybe a service which include a product, maybe just a service or a campaign. So the people you will meet will be the most important resource you will build, and it's not just for the competition.
If you are designing something, well, classically you're designing, I don't know, a bit of kitchen equipment or an engine or something, but you're always very bothered about its purpose and what it's going to do. It must look elegant, whatever, you know, but you're very bothered, if you're any good as a designer anyway, about what it's actually going to do. And this isn't actually always a mindset which academic researchers will bring to something. It's a more practical and engaged outlook. It's also one which looks at the conceptual framework that you're working at, first and foremost, rather than trying to arrive at that at the end stage, trying to dress it up and prettify it. If you actually start out with a bold concept and then apply it to reality, changing it as you go along, that's a live and creative process of development, and actually quite surprisingly hard to come by, actually. In terms of